is the hottest kicker in the Canadian Football League. He's been setting Bomber records and has really helped the Bombers in a lot of ways this season after a very interesting start with the chip balls fiasco in week 1. Let's welcome in Sergio Castillo from the Blue and Gold. Sergio, what is up? It's great to have you back on the program.
How y'all guys doing? I appreciate you guys having me on the air, and just glad that it's finally we get some summer weather here in old friendly Manitoba. So it's been a little bit gloomy and rainy, but finally got some sun.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, could you have a better setup for a big football game tomorrow? Huge divisional matchup, very important game for your team. A rival in the Stamps coming in, 32 Celsius and sunny right now. And Princess Auto is going to be rocking, and I imagine you and your teammates are going to be ready to rock as well after that big first win of the season last week in front of the home fans.
Yes, we finally got the first one, and sorry it took us a month, but the team is feeling good. Confidence has been high since the beginning, right? And that's one thing that I've noticed from being here in Winnipeg since 21. It's where things can not be going as well. For example, last year when we were down 22 points in Edmonton, and I looked at the sideline, and then I looked at Osh, and everyone was just calm. And I've been on other teams where it's just, there's a lot of tension, right? And over here, it's just calm. Let's keep our head down, keep working hard, and the bread is in the pudding, right? Or the pudding in the bread, however that saying goes, right? It's been going well, and that's why Winnipeg has been dominating the past, 5-6 seasons. And but yeah, it's gonna be a great one tomorrow. Finally got some Texas weather coming in here, so I can't complain about that.
You mentioned the confidence level of the club. I mean, and listen, this is a organization and a team that has earned it with the previous 4 seasons, winning the West every year, 2 Grey Cup championships. But 0-4 is still a really tough start. It didn't seem like the confidence had wavered, but I'll ask you, now that you got that first win of the season, did anything change at practice? Was it a different vibe around the team? Now you got number 1, or was this team expecting to do it every week and it's just back to business and not a lot different than it was while you were 0-4?
Osh said, in the beginning of this, of when we first came in, it's not the same old, but in terms of the vibes are the same, right? You have Willie, you have Biggie, you have Zach, you have Stanley, you have those guys in the locker room. It's they set they're the guys that kind of set the standard, right, of what it means to work hard, because they've been here the past 4 or 5 years that they've been to 4 straight Grey Cups, right? But it starts with Osh, right? He's been, and I've said this before, he's been the same guy that I met back in 2015 till now. And if people have the chance to meet the amazing human being that he is, and you can tell why the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are where they're at now. He is a family man. He treats everyone like family. His wife treats us like family. They take care of our wives and kids. So that goes a long way with this organization, right? So I believe it starts with Osh and it trickles down all the way through the players, the trainers with Al, our equipment staff with Foddy. It's a ripple effect. It's contagious, right? So I think as long as you have those heads, leading us, starting with Osh, you're in good hands.
Sergio Castillo with the Serge. You mentioned, Osh. I gotta ask you, we worked with Troy Westwood for a long time, and he and Bob Cameron, I mean, they were sort of off just in their own world, doing their own things. Like, what's the practice day like for you, Jamison Sheehan, and how much are you in touch with O'Shea, Mike Miller, the special teams coordinator, or do they just let you guys do your own thing with the long snapper and then operate on your own, considering the incredible level that you guys are performing at?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. My real work comes when I come home and I'm on daddy duties. When I'm at the facility, we have our meetings, right, with special teams and with Coach Miller and Osh, and then, but if you ask me what I do, I literally have to focus for 5 minutes a day, and that's it. The other 2.5 hours, I am just like I'm trying to try to be a good politician. I say hi to the offensive lineman. I go
Vibes
to the
guy.
D, yeah. I go to the O lineman, D lineman, try to say hello, how you doing? Bring them some cookies, some water, some Mexican treats, and we literally. I mean, for me, right? I have 5 minutes a day, which is in the very beginning. I have 6 to 8 kicks, day one and day two, and that is it, right? And I think for what's worked for me, right? It's and Osh has he allows us to be us. He always says, when you're in the building, you don't have to pretend to be someone else, right? And I'm kind of a jokester, and sometimes people don't laugh at my jokes, but I still laugh at my own jokes. And I like to keep it chill, right? So for us, it's we work us specialists. We work out, in the morning. Starting with when I get there now at the facility with Johnny and with Bailey, we started doing meditation this week. I'm like, you know what? I want to see if I can master 5 minutes of just trying to breathe, right? So that was my biggest challenge this week. And that's a new routine we started, right? So, and for me, that's another way to be able to bond with other guys on the team, right? Other than golfing with the Hallett brothers, right? Because I mean, we golf at least 18 to 27 holes a week, so that keeps me sane too, because it makes me forget about the stress of football, right? So I think what's important too is there's a life outside of football, right? So for me, what's helped me is obviously having my family here. I do photography here and there, right? I've been at the Gold Eyes, a couple games, and then golfing has helped as well with my mind game.
Serge, you mentioned the guys that you hang with. It is wild. We've got a Mexican punter from Texas and an Aussie, or sorry, kicker from Texas and an Aussie punter. What's Jamison like, and what's your relationship with your other stablemate from the kicking game?
Jams and I we're like peanut butter and jam. He's very good at golf. I am not. He's always giving me tips. But no, it's he's starting to get to know me well, right? And he's I believe a psychology major, so he's been able to help me on the mental side, especially with my anxiety. I have anxiety when my wife and my son are not here and they're back in Texas, because my wife, she's a teacher back in old Amarillo, Texas. And but Jams, he's that's where we've been able to grow on a deeper level outside of football, is where I can be able to talk to someone about the struggles that I go through, vice versa with him as well, right? So me being a punter in my earlier years in the CFL, he's always asking me, hey, look at my technique, see if I'm struggling in some areas, just call me out, and vice versa as well, right? So we keep each other accountable on the field, off the field, and more than anything, we just try to be, you know, ourselves, because if we're ourselves off the field, it's going to transpire on the field as well.
Let's go back to week one. A huge story coming out of the first week of the season was those chip balls. And if anyone wasn't wondering what you were up to before, your performance since then, 6 for 6, the 60-yarders, 53-yarders, we know what was up. I mean, how did you know that things were amiss? Because, I mean, talking to Hammer and some of the other guys that were in the room afterwards, you had a lot to get off your chest. What did you make of just that? And just tell us from a kicker's perspective what that does to the ball and why you were so adamant to make that statement afterwards that obviously got rectified by the league shortly thereafter.
Yeah. First of all, if it's not for the operation, Benson and Jams, and especially Jams, that gives me that comfort, right? I'm not, making these long kicks, right? So it's a full operation. All three of us work together. So, behind those consistent field goals over the years, all three of us, uh, contribute to those, right? So I want to give a shout out to Benson and Jams. But yes, going back to the question of the chip balls, it just it threw the rotation off, and you just honestly did not where the ball was going. Initially, I thought it was just me, right? And I'm like, well, maybe I suck, right? But then we started communicating, all other 8 kickers along with me, and we all had the same issue. So we knew that we had an issue here, right? So it was going to affect, and it did affect the game, right? And we understand that there's things that have to be made, new advances to better the game and to make it better for the fans, which we're all for. But when it changes the trajectory of the ball and it affects not only the team but also the livelihood of kickers, then something had to be said, right? I'm the type of guy, and I think I mentioned it before. If we go eat somewhere and my meal is not right, I send my wife because I don't like I don't like confrontation, right? So I just felt very strongly behind it. All 9 of us did around the league, all 9 starting kickers. So, but it was a collective group effort, through the PA, all 9 starters, and obviously the league, right? They want a great product out there, and we all came together, and glad that it was able to be fixed.
Back at it now, and tomorrow, huge game against Calgary. I mean, when you think about the season series after a drop in the OT game to them earlier this year, I don't think we can call these must wins at this point, but I would imagine that this team very focused to build off what you started last week with week 1 of the season, get to 2-4 and a little closer to getting back into a playoff position, and then start worrying about the rest of the West.
Here's the thing. When you boil it down to this, I get to play a professional football game tomorrow, Friday night. That's we're living the dream. At least that's how I take it, right? I take it into perspective. I get to be a professional kicker tomorrow night in front of 30,000 fans, and then play in front of I don't know how many on TSN. I'm living the dream. When you focus on that, it takes away the stress and like, oh, we got to win this game. And that's when people have fun. Right. And it's not just in football, but in life as well. Right. It's like, man, I get to be a dad today again. Right. And I get to be a husband again. I get to be a roommate again. I get to be a teammate again. I get to step in the locker room next to Stanley Bryant, Zach Caleros, all these guys. And now I'm just thinking about it right now. I'm filled with emotion, and I'm feeling myself with emotion. I'm energizing myself with all these positive vibes rather than just like, oh, it's a must win. When you fill yourself with all these positive vibes, positive emotions, it gets you going and you build momentum like that. When you build that type of momentum, it's a beautiful thing.
Well, I got to tell you, the positive vibes are flowing in the WST chat today. Everyone is loving your visit. Everyone is feeling. I think everyone's going to have a great rest of the day and a great Friday night at Princess Auto Stadium and a great weekend. And we're kicking it all off, excuse the pun, with you here on the the program. Hey, Sergio, while we've got you here, I've been looking forward to having you on, and this was the perfect day to do it. Obviously, talking about
are we taking a shot of tequila or what? Oh, no, listen, we're after the game.
Yeah. Listen, I'll rain check you on that, and I'll be waiting for you after the game for that. I know you've been paying attention to a lot of the soccer lately. How great has this Copa been in this performance of Team Canada?
Man, I was really pulling for them. We went to, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Fions.
Fins. Fins right over on Grand Park.
Yeah, we, my wife, my son, Bailey, Johnny, and I, we went to the game, and I wish we were at the game, right? But we went to Fins to watch the game. We haven't missed one game at all. My wife, my son, and I, between the Euros and Copa America. Once Mexico was out, we're like, you know what, Team Canada all the way. And for them to make it this far, it's big not only for them, but it's big for the country, right? I think I forgot the numbers, but there was like crazy amount of people millions that were watching this game. And I just
7 million, like 18% of the country was tuned in.
And I hope these numbers convince my wife so we can move up here and we can be full-time in Canada, because she's a soccer coach. Right. And she's like, Serge, there's no soccer over there. And because she's a soccer back in Texas and she's done some soccer coaching in Mexico. And I'm like, she's like, there's no soccer in Winnipeg. I'm like, babe, look at these numbers. There is soccer there. Right. So I'm just trying her to commit to Winnipeg, but it's just too cold for her. Us in Mexico, we don't deal with the cold so well.
Talk to Willie. Willie somehow managed to hack it last winter. He's from Houston or Beaumont,
exactly.
Texas.
We're both from Texas, right? But I live in Amarillo. In Amarillo, surprisingly enough, we get -20, -25, and people don't believe that. But yes, but no. Going back to your question, Copa America, I'm so glad that Canada made it all the way. I was trying to find myself a jersey, but if someone can locate me a store so I can go buy
Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway, right there, just up the street. They've got the best. Tons of great of the Canada gear,
Sweet.
Davies, the whole crew. So yeah, if you need to get your red and white in time for Saturday, Royal Sports is the spot.
Yes.
Shout out to our pals down there.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been wanting to get one, but no, we're big soccer fans. We, especially my wife, that's all she does. She lives and breathes. This is my wife, Adriana. It's obviously the love for our son, Jared, and then it's soccer, and then it's me.
Hey, you got to know your role, right?
Exactly. I just nod and smile.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, let's hope we can get a big Bomber win, and then listen, Canada taking on Uruguay, another world power.
Yes.
Got a little crazy after the game last night. Did you catch that in the stands?
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate, right? It's not only with happening in the U.S. It happens, all over the world. But us as Latinos, we take it a little bit too serious sometimes, right? I know when Mexico lost, I was so pissed, and I went to go take off my jersey. I was so mad, but we get emotional at times, right? But just hoping all the families from Uruguay are okay. I know it can be a little stressful at times, and I get it now as a father, right? It's just and I get it why some of the players got in the stands is like, shoot, you're attacking my family. Who cares if I get to spend it? I'd be on the stands as well, trying to protect my son and my wife as well, right? So it was just an unfortunate event. Hopefully, moving forward, it's there can be maybe just stuff or different precautions taken so this doesn't happen again, right? We want our sport to grow. It's such a beautiful game, and you definitely don't want families to stop going to attending these events because of situations that happen like that here and there.
Hey, before we go, and folks, if you've missed this, you can go back. It's on YouTube. I mean, the Bomber Show, The Huddle, had Sergio on. We all jumped in after Winnipeg Sports Talk and enjoyed it, and it was one of the best interviews that Ed's done in a long time.
Here's the thing. It wasn't an interview. It was like we were just chatting with the boys.
That's why it was so great.
That's what it was.
That's the beauty of this format now. I mean, unlike the radio days where you got to hard out, you got to get everything done in 8 minutes, you can kick back and have a great conversation, and you were perfect for it. But I threw a question into the chat from the WSTers about your favorite, and of course, we all remember the luchador mask at the Grey Cup celebration coming out, and I said, who is your favorite luchador? And I believe you said it was the chairman, wasn't it? La Parca?
La Parca. That's my grandma's favorite luchador. It's basically a skeleton, and my grandma loved him. And man, there's only two things that got my grandma all rowdied all up. Number one was Club America, which was it's the team that I dislike the most in Mexico because my team is Chivas and they're the biggest rivals. And when La Parca came on, oh my God, she'd be like throwing the chair, this and that, and I'm like, Grandma, I didn't know you could cuss like that. She's like, well, we can only cuss on soccer days and lucha libre days. I was like, shoot, all right.
Did you grow up? Was pro wrestling a big part? I mean, we know how big it is in Mexico. I mean, it is someone that was growing up in Texas, but still with all your Mexican roots. Is that something, and do you still pay attention to it?
Oh, 100%. Yes. And especially like, my grandma growing up with her, soccer was a thing. So when Club America would win, she would rub it in my face. But when my team Chivas would win, I would rub it in her face. So you got, here's the thing. Soccer's big. La lucha's big, right? And there's this show called Sábado Gigante. So it's like the big show on Saturday night. That's what it was called, by Don Francisco. And that show went on for like 50 something years. But it was just it was part of culture, right? So, you had soccer on TV, you had lucha libre, Don Francisco, or you had the soap operas with my grandma, the TV novelas, right? So bunch of drama going on there, right? Maybe that's why I don't have any hair, right? Because I'd be watching all these soap operas with my grandma.
Sergio, listen, this has been so much fun. We could crank this out for another half hour, but I know you got daddy duty, maybe some soccer to watch, and a lot going on.
Which baby Jared's ready for lucha libre right now, so he's got the hair going on. People ask me, why does Scott didn't have long hair? You know how some people live through their dreams through their kids in sports?
Yeah.
I live mine through his hair, because look at this guy. He's bald.
To the wood. Well, just watch out if the little guy goes and grabs a chair like La Parca, then you're really in trouble.
Right?
Sergio, continued success with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Good luck tomorrow night. And let's do this again later on this year. The people in here have absolutely been loving this interview. I knew it was going to be great. We really appreciate your time. And may they all go through the uprights tomorrow for you guys and get another big win at home in front of the fans.
I appreciate you guys having me. You know what? Let's do this as a ritual, right? Every time you have me tomorrow, if you guys can tag me before every pregame, take a little shot. If you know what I mean, I can't because I have to be focused right for the game. I only drink water. Take a little shot and let's go. Let's get this party on the
there
road
it is,
tomorrow.
folks. The Good Luck WST tequila shot for Sergio and the Bombers tomorrow. Ask, and we will come through for you, buddy. Have a great one.
Y'all take care. Have a good one.
Appreciate it. Sergio Castillo, what a beauty, man. That was so much fun. I've been looking forward to that all week. And we knew that he'd come through with just an absolutely awesome and fun conversation. And man, is he doing the job right now? As I mentioned, I mean, when you're, like the kicks, the distance that is coming on, the accuracy, the consistency. I mean, this team is not blowing teams out anymore. You need to have that reliable guy when you throw it out for three. And the luchador himself, Sergio Castillo, is making that happen.